Oh my goodness. I'm so proud of you guys. We've officially reached a critical mass in mathematics. We've hit so many skills so far that we can start referring to them in the future math that we are doing. So in essence, we're going to be taking baby steps to make giant leaps. So those little steps that we've done up to this point will help us do bigger and better things. So let's start by doing a warm-up. So when you do these problems, try to solve for x. Okay? So write these down, solve for x, and then I'll go over how to do them. Just make sure you pause the video and see if you actually remember how to do these. All right, for question number 1, what we're going to do is we're literally going to look at x over 2. And anytime I see x over 2, I have to think about cross multiplying. So in this case, we're going to write this over 1. And then all we're going to do is cross multiply. So when we cross multiply, we end up with the following. 1x is equal to 2 times 3, which is equal to, well, the following. Well, since that's 6, that means 1x is equal to 6. Divide both sides by 1, and we end up with x is equal to 6, which is what we expected. So now, how about this 2 over x is equal to 1 over 3? We're going to do the cross product again, and we've got the following solution. So we're going to get 1x is equal to 2 times 3 again, and we end up with x is equal to 6. So that's how we do our cross product. We're going to use our cross product to help us with our math that we're currently doing. So just pause, make sure this is copied down, and then we will move on to the next thing. It's just to show you that we've done this stuff before. So now what we're going to do is we're going to solve multi-step equations. And this type of multi-step equation that we are using is going to involve cross products and also multiplication of the lowest common multiple. Lowest common multiple. All right, so for our first problem, we have the linear equation. 2x plus 10 all over 3 is equal to 20. So what we're going to do is I'm going to zoom in on this, and we're going to focus on that problem. Okay, so right now we have 2x plus 10 is equal to 20. So in order to solve this problem, we're going to have these 4 basic steps. Make that 3 basic steps. We're going to multiply by the bottom number. And then after we've multiplied by the bottom number, we get our final solution. Now that's how a lot of people do it, right? But what we're going to do is we're going to do this using our favorite method. It's called cross product. So like I said before, we're going to use the cross product, and I'll show you how this works. Now, when we're using the cross product, what we have is the following happen, right? You need to look at this problem as if it were 20 over 1 is equal to 2x plus 10. And then we divide that by 3. So remember, this part here, this 20, is actually turned into 20 over 1. Then what you're going to imagine is if you're going to imagine that this top half of the left side of the equation is in a bracket, okay? Now, originally we had a 3. So what we're going to do is we're going to cross multiply all the stuff that's here and here. So we're going to have to combine the 1 and the 2x plus 10 and the 3 and the 20. All right? So what we end up with is 1 times 2x plus 10 is equal to the following, 20, and then we times that by 3. So 20 times 3 is 60, so we simplify that. But then on the other side of the equation that we have here, we're going to have to take the 1 and multiply into everything that we had here. Exactly what we were doing in the last unit, in the last lesson, I mean. So we end up with 2x. 1 times 2x is just 2x, right? And then 1 times 10 is just 10, so we have plus 10. And now we're back to doing what we used to do before. We understand how to do it now, right? We're going to take this 10. We're going to take all the 10s, you're going to take all the 10s and move it over to the right side. So we take all the numbers, move it over to the right side, because all our letters are on the right side. So we'll just leave 2x by itself, and we have 60 minus 10. So now that we've done that, we got to take our time and we got to solve that left side, that right side. So now that when we solve the right side, we're going to get 60 minus 10 is just 50 and 2x. And so now we're back to what we normally did before anytime we were solving for x. We divide both sides by 2 to get rid of that 2, and we end up with a final answer of x is equal to 25. And when you finish, make sure you highlight your final answer. So now that you know how to do this problem, here's my question. Do you think you can solve this problem here? 6x plus 5 is equal to x minus 3. I want you to remember that you can look at x minus 3 as a big bracket, and then it's all over 1. So we'll start with this. 6x plus 5 over 4 is equal to x minus 3 over 1. And then what I want you to do is I want you to do your cross multiplication, but make sure you follow this pattern. You put a bracket around the stuff on top. Do your calculations and tell me what you get. All right, so now that you guys have shown me, what you're going to do is you start off by cross multiplying, and then you end up with this. 1 times 6x plus 5 is equal to 4 times x minus 3. So now we're going to take 1 and distribute into the first bracket. So you're going to get 6x plus 5 is equal to, now take the 4 and multiply everything in this bracket. So now we're left with the following, 4x minus 12. Now the key to make your life easy is to move all your x's to one side. So I'm going to take this 4x and move it over to this side right here, right beside the 6x. So you're going to get 6x minus 4x plus 5 is equal to negative 12. So now we simplify. So we're going to end up with 2x plus 5 is equal to negative 12. Now, another way to go and show that you're subtracting is something that I showed you in the last lessons. What you can do is you can subtract 5, and notice you're only taking the one thing away. So then when you get to your next line, all you have is 2x is equal to, well, negative 12 negative 12 minus 5 gives us negative 17. Now to get x by itself, divide both sides by x by 2, and you're going to end up with negative 8.5 as your final answer. And you can leave that either as a fraction or you can leave it as a decimal for me. It's perfect the way it is. And you'll be doing questions like this in your notes today. Now let's move on to our next problem of the day. There's only 4 of them. All right. So now you've got a linear equation with fractions now, right? But this time our linear equation is kind of set up all weird where we have the same number multiplied across three different ways. So the same number, so when you have fractions, you have the same denominator somewhere. Now, in order to get rid of the denominators, this is what you do. This will save you lots of time. The key is to multiply by that same number. You're multiplying everything by that same number. So this is what I mean. So you have h over 3, and I'm going to put a space here, and then put minus 2 with a space equals 5h over 3. Now, in order to get rid of 3's and just make it into nice linear work that we can use, we're going to multiply each of these by 3. So I got h over 3 times 3 times 2, negative 2 times 3, and then times 5h over 3 times 3. Now, what that does for us is it gets rid of the 3's on all of the fractions. So 3 divided by 3 is just 1, right? So now this first part just turns into h. Minus 2 times 3 is 6. And then you've got 5h divided by 3. Now the 3 on the bottom just disappears and you're left with h. So basically, any of the 3's that were there disappeared, and all you're left with is the tops of the fractions. But everything else is just multiplied normally by 3. So that's why we got negative 2 times 3 giving us 6. So now we can start moving our h's to one side and our numbers to one side. So I'm always going to move my h here over to this side. I always want my letters on the left side. So I'm going to get, h minus 5h minus 6 is equal to, well, there's nothing there, so it's 0, right? So h minus 5h is negative 4h minus 6 is equal to 0. Bring the 6 over to the other side, and you end up with 6 is equal to negative 4h. Now you divide both sides by negative 4 to get h by itself. And then your final answer is h is equal to, well, simplify 6 and divided by negative 4 is, well, both of these can be divided by 2. So my answer is going to actually be negative 3 over 2. And there's your answer. Or you could write it as negative 1.5. All right. So that's the next type of problem that you will see on your homework today. Now, this last one here, this last one is a doozy. So I'm going to zoom in on this and I'm going to talk to you in depth about how to solve this problem. We have to look at fractions, right? A long time ago when you worked with fractions, let's say I had 1 over 8 plus 3, no, plus 2 over 3. What you would do is you would find the lowest common multiple being 8 times 3, which is 8 times 3 giving us 24, right? So we would make both of these fractions 24, and that would allow us to bring these things together. Now, another way we can do this is we can use the multiplication of these things, of these denominators, to help us get rid of some ugliness. All right, so I'm going to show you what all the denominators are in this thing. So that 3 really is just 3 over 1, right? Now, if we wanted to figure out how many denominators we had, what we would do is I sit here and I calculate my denominator. My denominator for everything would be 8 times 3 times 1. Okay, so 8 times 3 times 1 gives us 24. So here's what we're going to do. We're going to multiply everything like we did last time. Instead of just by 3, we're going to multiply everything by 24. So on the next line, what you're going to do is you're going to write everything spaced out, and you'll see what I mean. So you're going to write x over 3, x plus 3 over 8, and then plus x plus 1 over 3 equals, well, 3 over 1 or just 3. It doesn't matter. 3 over 1, I don't care. You could write it as 3 or 3 over 1. It doesn't matter, because in the end, all we're going to have is just straight numbers and no fractions. 3, so we're going to say 3. So here is what we're going to do. We're going to multiply everything by every top number by 24. So let's do that. So remember, when we were doing these problems before, we always had to kind of make sure that we had a bracket around this top part of our fraction because of the x plus 3 and all that other business. So now we're going to multiply by 24. And 24 again. And by 24. So everything gets hit by 24. All the tops get hit by 24. Now, here's my question for you. Do you remember what 24 divided by 8 is? Well, that's the number 3. So that means we're left with 3. So this cancels with that, and you're left with 3 and 1 on the bottom. How about the next one? 24 divided by 3. 24 divided by 3 gives us 8. So the top and the bottom of this portion of our fraction cancels out to be 8. Okay? And now we can rewrite this whole thing as 3 times x plus 3 plus 8 times x plus 1 is equal to 3 times 24, which is 72. So now we're back to what we were doing in the past unit. We're going to take 3, multiply into everything here, and 8, and multiply into everything here. So we're going to get 3x plus 9 plus 8x plus 8 is equal to 72. So now let's collect our like terms on the left side and make our life easy. So we got 3x plus 8x is 11x plus 9x plus 8 is 17 is equal to 72. So now let's take that 17 from both sides. So I'll just subtract 17 here and subtract 17 here with its common term. And you're going to get the following. You're going to get 11x is equal to, and 72 minus 17 gives us 55. And now we need to get rid of our 11 on the x, so we divide both sides by 11. And we end up with x is equal to 5. And there is our answer. And we're done. Now, your homework I'm going to talk about on the next page. And so now what I need you to do is I need you to solve. You're going to do the homework called Solving Equations with Fractions, Part A. Sorry about this. My pen is starting to get a little wonky. And then you're going to have to go and get the extra practice sheet that's on the website to do some extra problems once you've finished this one set of problems, okay? Now, over time, I will probably add a solution set so that you can always go back and look to see how you should have solved some of these problems. All right, let's get to it.